What is up, metalheads and non-metalheads alike? This is the Everblack Underground, where we talk about music from the underground. If you can hear sounds behind me, that is my dog eating food, so please ignore. This video is going to be bands I've discovered. That's where I take 4 bands I've discovered, 3 of which I liked a lot, and 1 of which not so much. We're going to talk about them. The reason I do that is because just because I don't like something doesn't mean somebody else won't like something, right? So we're going to get right into it. There's a band called Enucleation. They are from Atlanta, Georgia. They formed in 2017 and are still ongoing, and they are a brutal death metal band. They have 1 album that I will be talking about called The World We Live In with 3 tracks. The World We Live In starts off pretty softly with some piano, some pretty good atmosphere, cuts right into some groovy death metal. It's very thrash influenced with some really great slam riffs in here. And all the tracks are pretty short, but they really show off what the band can do, and it's a solid 3 tracks. So if you have a chance, I would definitely check this album out. The song I would check out specifically is called Suffering. Here it is, a little sample of that. Alright, and the next band we're going to talk about is called Dampe's Keep, which I think is a reference to Zelda, I think. I don't know. Someone who knows more about Zelda, let me know. They are from the United States. Were formed in 2013, and that's really all I know about them. They are an atmospheric black metal band. I'm going to talk about 2 releases from them. One's called Dampe's Keep with 3 tracks, and the other one's Twilight with 1 track. So the first one, Dampe's Keep, solid black metal, tremolo guitars, blast beats throughout. Very seldomly strays from that formula, which is fine if that's what you're looking for. I honestly love that kind of style. Spirit Temple is the only track on here that really doesn't have that same formula. It's very melancholy, very strong riffage, and the double bass on here is insane. Really put some awesome depth into the tracks. I would definitely check this one out specifically. I would say Song of Healing is a great track to check out. Here's a little sample. Alright, and the next release I'm going to talk about from this band is Twilight, heavily inspired and influenced by the music written for The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. This is just a single track, quite different from Dampe's Keep, a lot more spacious here, a lot more open with breaks of folk music. We do still see the tremolo and the blast beat formula here, but not as much, not nearly as much as we saw in Dampe's Keep. It's still mostly filled with melancholy riffs and feels of dreaminess. I would definitely check this out too, especially if you like this like folky black metal feel. Obviously there's only 1 track, so here's a little sample of Twilight. Then we're going to talk about a band called Aubzagl. I hope I pronounced that right. They're from the UK. They formed in 2017 and are still going. They're a black metal band with 1 release called Ilifa Kulden with 8 tracks. And they have quite a few connections. I have a list of them I'm going to read for you. When I say connections, I mean projects that members of the band have been in or have performed for. whatever filled in for. So that's what they are. So the connections for Obzagl are Narayana, Slothhammer, Dioscorium, Reth, Slaughter Throne, the Owl, Narcosis, Tangaroa, Bathroom City, Canvas, Cerebral Constriction, Ayathatonka, Fucking Hostile, Gets Worse, Gloomweaver, 100-Year-Old Man, Incandescence, Mother Nature vs. Father Time, No Fucks Given, The 600, Whoever, Decrepit Womb, The Nothing, Koshin, Explorers Society, The Vita Sound Projects, Arender, Purple Sticky Punch, Fornius, Petrichor, Maelstrom, Bile Salt Malabsorption, Operation Overlord, and Blood Countess. That was a lot of bands to have connections with. Anyways, we're going to talk about Alifa Kolden. It's very strong, groovy black metal here. Nothing fancy with the vocals. Very solid vocals, really fitting for the sound. There's some variation within the riffs between songs. But while you're in a song, the one thing I would say is that it feels like they stick too much just to a couple of notes. They play around with those notes, so it can be a little interesting, but sometimes I'd like to see a little break from the same 3 or 4 notes, right? Tracks like Oglit are very different, though. One of the few tracks on there that doesn't sound like everything else in that specific way. Was not expecting at all. Very, very solid track, but the rest of the album is still really good, really solid. My only complaint is the few notes in each song specifically, which isn't really much of a complaint. I mean, I'm being picky. If I would check any of the songs on this album, I would check out Oath of Blood. So here's a little sample of that. Tell me what you think. And the fourth and final band, the band that I didn't care for too much, is called the Black Imperium. They are a band from Puerto Rico. They formed in 2009 and are still ongoing. They're a black, death, and thrash band with themes of war, darkness, Satan, and anti-Christianity. They have one release that I will be talking about called Christ Fucking Wargasm with 9 songs on it. And they have connections with a couple bands, Decrepit Hunter, Undeath 45, and Peel de Cadaver. That was hard to say. So we're going to talk about Christ Fucking Wargasm. So with only 4 tracks breaking the 3-minute mark, this is a pretty short album, even with it being 9 songs. The tracks are very short, brutal, and hate-filled. Normally I'd be a fan of that, but I'm not here. Vocals are just much to be desired. They're very echoey. They kind of feel like an afterthought for the music. I almost feel like if they left the vocals out, I'd actually like this release. It feels much more like an instrumental band than a band that needs to have the vocals on it. They do have a couple tracks that are non-musical or couple tracks with a lot of non-music content, which is interesting, kind of like sound clips of stuff. Very dark stuff in those sounds. The music is very well done, very brutal. I just don't like the vocals. That's a big thing here, and since the vocals are throughout all the songs, I just can't say that I really cared for this. I wouldn't really pick it up again unless it was an instrumental version, right? So if I would check out anything, I would check out Demonic Black Seed of Satan, and tell me what you think. Alright, so that is bands I've discovered. I hope you enjoyed this. If you liked any of the bands that I showed you here, let me know. If you know any of the bands, I've had a lot of bands comment on my videos actually, saying cool, I'm glad, thank you for the stuff. If you are on one of these lists, specifically if you're on like the one that I didn't care for, don't take it too harshly. I'm just some guy sitting in my living room talking about bands. I like the music. Normally when I say I don't like something, it's just really not my taste. It's not that it's bad or anything. So anyways, I hope you liked it. Give me a like, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we'll make some more videos. Stay heavy.